Watch you guys, if you run an AMD system, you should be updating your AMD drivers right now to avoid any password leaks. AMD have released an article to say that there's been some sort of breach on their drivers and you need to update them. So let's take a look here. AMD Chipset Drivers Information Disclosure for vulnerability. So there is a vulnerability for all of the affected products listed down below. I'll leave all the links for this information in the video description as usual. You can read this at your own leisure. Basically, all of the CPUs and stuff listed here will be affected and you will need to update those AMD drivers. I'm not going to go through them all because there's quite a few here, but pretty much I'm sure it's going to be your CPU right now that you're using that you'll need to update the chipset drivers. If we take a look down the bottom here, AMD recommends updating the AMD PSP driver 5.17.0.0 through Windows Update or by updating the AMD chipset drivers. Also, acknowledgement is recognized there by the guy who found this. The link was at the bottom of that page, which you can read in the video description. So first off, let's take a look here. Let's go to the Start button and go to Settings, and you can go to Windows Update and update your system to make sure you have the latest updates. If you don't get it this way, I'll show you another way you can get it, which means you'll be 100% sure that you have the update on your system. So what we're going to do here is right click on the Start button here and go to Device Manager. This will open up Device Manager here. And inside here, you'll see I'm running an AMD graphics card. And this is also an AMD processor in here. So in Device Manager, look for Security Devices and open this up. And you'll see AMD PSP 11.0 device. Click on this and this will give you the device properties. You can click on driver and you'll see that the driver date is listed here and also the driver version. We can also update the driver from here by clicking on the update driver just here if you want to do it this way. I'll show you another better way of doing it, and that way you can get all of the latest updates and drivers for your AMD system. So let's close this off and go over to the website and download the drivers from there. So open a browser of your choice and then type in there AMD driver and then do a search for that website, and you should see AMD support right at the very top here. Click on this one. You should see AMD drivers and support, and you'll see an option available to auto detect and install updates for your Radeon graphics card and Ryzen chipsets drivers for Windows. You can download it here. There's also a manual way which you can do it by selecting here, but I prefer to do it this way. Click on this and this will download the auto detect tool, which you can then click on and this will open up the software. So let's go ahead and say yes here. We just close this background window off so we can see the actual software. So click on install and this will install it onto your system. So once this is unpacked and on your system, it will open up a window and it will show you AMD software, and it will do a search on your PC for all the AMD chipset drivers, graphics drivers, and all the other drivers that are required to run on your Windows system. You can see here it's detected Radeon RX 580 series. It wants us to update that. There is an upgrade available, so I'm going to allow that to happen by clicking on the next button. Inside here, you'll see AMD chipset drivers. AMD PSP driver is the one. You can see if I hover over, it will tell you that we're on an older driver, and this is the version 5.17.0.0. We need to make sure that's installed. So I'm leaving the ticks in all of these boxes to make sure we've got all of these installed on the system. All of your passwords will be stored in that area, so it's important that we update these because there is a breach of security and a vulnerability that people can exploit with having the older outdated drivers. So it's important that you update to the latest drivers to make sure that you're safe and all your passwords are safe. You don't want those getting leaked to anyone who can use that vulnerability or exploit on your system. So give it time to install the drivers. It does take a bit of time. You will see the screen go black a little bit a few times, and that's pretty normal, and it will flash and then it will ask you to restart your system. You're probably going to have to restart the system a couple of times. So bear in mind that you will have to make sure you save all of your work before installing this driver because it will shut down the PC. So let's go ahead and restart the system. And you should see something like this. Updates are underway. Please keep your PC on. And this will basically install all of the updates that are required for this vulnerability patch. And it takes a bit of time to install, but I'll skip this part and then reboot the PC back to the desktop so you can see what happens next once we get there. I'll just let these update and install onto the system, and then we should see the logon screen here. There we go. And then we should get to the desktop. And it should continue to install the next load of drivers that it requires to install, because we selected all 6 to install on this system. So give it a bit of time and it will ask us to restart the system one more time once it's installed those. There we go. So I'm going to restart the system one more time. And once we've done this, it will take us back to the desktop. So let's just quickly restart anyway here, and you'll get some updates going in. And then when we get back to the desktop here, we should be good to go. We should have the latest security patches on our system to protect our PC. Now, whether you're running Windows 10 or Windows 11 or an older version of Windows, it's important that you update. So let's go back into Device Manager here and check to see our security devices. If we click on here, AMD PSP 11.0 device, and you can see here, if I go to driver here, you can see we've now got the latest driver version 5.17.0.0, and the date is for the driver is updated here to the very latest date. So we have got the latest versions here available, and this should fix and patch any sort of breaches on that system, so you should be safe. Anyway, I think that is it. We can check for updates quickly just to make sure there's no updates available, and we're running Windows 11 here, so I'm going to install these now. This is the Windows malicious software removal tool, so I should quickly install that on the system. Now, I just wanted to get this video out to you because this has been a bit of an issue for the last few days, so I wanted to cover this one before the weekend. But anyway, that's going to be about it for this video. My name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Big shout out to all my YouTube members who have joined my YouTube members group. I really do appreciate the support. Your names are rolling up on the screen right now. And I shall see you again for another video real soon. Check out my PC build video. It's the one before this one. And I shall see you again for a video tomorrow. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.